Here's what's happening now. Watching some rain and even snow showing up on 4 Live radar. We'll see when the flakes will actually arrive for us. Karen?
Also first at 4, she turned the world on with her smile. Right now, fans are mourning the loss of legendary TV icon Mary Tyler Moore. President Trump delivers on a presidential promise. He wants to start building that wall on the Mexican border. And a fatal shooting outside of a Detroit school. Police describe the unusual circumstances surrounding the death of a young father. First at 4 starts now. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Karen Drew. We begin with breaking news in the death of TV legend Mary Tyler Moore. Moore first gained fame in the 1960s, playing Lori Petrie on The Dick Van Dyke Show. Then in the 70s, her role as Mary Richards in The Mary Tyler Moore Show was the first time a single independent career woman was portrayed on a sitcom. She was also nominated for an Oscar for her role in the 1980 film Ordinary People. During her career, she won 7 Emmys. Now, we don't know much about the cause of death, but Moore did battle diabetes for years and had brain surgery in 2011. Mary Tyler Moore was 80 years old, and we'll have more on her life and her legacy on Local 4 News at 5. Closer to home at this hour, first at 4, a terrifying scene outside of a Detroit school this morning. A young father shot dead after dropping his child off. The case, very disturbing. Let's go to Paula Tutman, who's tracking the investigation. What are police saying?
Well, first of all, we just checked with police. They say no new information. They are still looking for a killer. Let me take you to the scene this morning, talking about Southwest Detroit in front of Mark Twain Elementary School. Young father by the name of Keenan, his name escapes me right now. I'll get it for you in 1 second. Keenan Beard, thank you, sorry about that. Keenan Beard drops his son off as he does every single morning. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. Constantly, parents are in and out that time of morning. The child walks into the school and then shots ring out. Here's the interesting thing. Now, police don't know whether or not the person was inside the car at the time or if he picked him up somewhere along the way. But really, the interesting thing is police have a pretty darn good description of a suspect, which tells us somebody saw something.
He was wearing a bright orange hoodie. He's about 5'8", 180 pounds, African-American, medium complected. That's all we know now. We have our K9 out in the area, so we are asking for the public's help.
Just had a lot of enemy that was after him. I'm sorry.
Why did he have enemies?
Just a lot of people didn't like him, and I just wish he stayed away.
Yeah, so that was actually the young boy's godmother, a family friend, and she really gives some very important information about what possibly a motive might be. Keenan Beard apparently was a guy who lived a couple of different lives, seen as a great father on one hand, but also a guy who had lots of enemies on the other hand. And why is that important to mention, Karen? It's because that's what police will have to go on. They're going to have to take a look at all of those lives, all of those aspects to try to track back to figure out who wanted this guy dead. We'll look more into that today at 5. Karen?
All right. Meantime, thinking about that little boy who lost his father today.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Paula. Moving to Bloomfield, where a 53-year-old woman is dead after a violent crash. Rhonda Williams was driving on Square Lake Road last night when police say a 43-year-old man driving a Maserati rear-ended her and sent her Subaru Legacy flying into a fence. Williams was killed in the crash while the man was taken to the hospital. He's in stable condition. Police believe alcohol played a factor in this crash. They are still investigating and have not identified the driver yet. A standoff that lasted for hours at a Wixom apartment complex ended peacefully. Police first surrounded the complex around 2 this morning. After hours of unsuccessful negotiations, the SWAT team stormed the apartment around 6. Once investigators got inside, they found the barricaded man with 3 other adults and 2 children. Now police are questioning everyone involved, trying to understand exactly why this happened. After 58 years in business, Art Van Furniture is being sold to a private equity firm. Thomas H. Lee Partners, one of the world's oldest equity firms, agreed to buy the company this morning. Art Van first opened in Detroit back in 1959 and since then has opened more than 100 stores all across the Midwest. Art Van's CEO wants to reassure customers. He says the sale is a good thing for them.
It's a company that's on the growth curve right now, and we have been growing this organization for decades, and so that's what they liked about us. They like that we are very much on a growth path, and they're going to continue to invest it. So we'll be seeing more employees, more stores, more money, and more best practices. So think about it from a positive point of view. It's a real good news story.
Yoss says the plan is to double Art Van's store count within the next 3 years. That process will begin once the sale becomes final next month. Well, time now for our first look at the forecast. And Ben, it is slowly starting to look and feel a little bit more like winter.
Slowly, yeah. We didn't have the fog, and we saw just a teensy bit of sun this morning, and that was about it. But we're on the track of 4 Live radar here, watching some of these very light sprinkles show up. There's a pretty good swath of snow here from Mount Pleasant up to the Saginaw Bay. Right now, most of that is going to stay north of us, but there are going to be parts of southeast Michigan that could see enough snow to coat the ground by tomorrow morning. We'll discuss that coming up. Temperatures sliding out of the 40s and into the 30s. A little bit warmer down near the state line, kind of a wide range in temperatures. We'll look at that and how things are going to change in the next 7 days, all in a few minutes. Karen?
Thank you, Ben. We've got some more breaking news at this hour. President Donald Trump has just signed immigration actions to build a border wall between the U.S. and Mexico. Kimberly Gill is in the newsroom monitoring the very latest developments. And Kimberly, what other executive actions has he taken to curtail illegal immigration?
Karen, good afternoon. Today, President Trump has started to reshape U.S. immigration enforcement policies via executive action. These are the first steps toward fulfilling some of the most contentious pledges that defined his campaign. Now, the order ends the policy of catch and release at the border. It requires other countries to take back who Trump calls criminals. It cracks down on sanctuary cities here in the U.S. that have policies in place to limit the assistance given to federal immigration authorities. And it also empowers ICE officers to target and remove those who pose a threat to public safety. It creates an Office of Homeland Security dedicated to supporting the victims of illegal immigrant crime. Here is what the president had to say about his actions.
The Secretary of Homeland Security, working with myself and my staff, will begin immediate construction of a border wall. As I've said repeatedly to the country, we are going to get the bad ones out. We are going to get them out, and we're going to get them out fast.
The president has previously estimated that the wall would cost about $8 billion, but critics have said it could be nearly double that amount. President Trump also said that by working together on positive trade, safe borders, and economic cooperation, he believes the U.S. and Mexico will actually have an improved relationship. Karen, we'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Other news out of the nation's capital at this hour. President Trump is standing firm on his claim that millions of people committed voter fraud in the recent presidential election. Now he's tweeting that he will ask for an investigation in spite of many independent studies that dispute his claim. Today he tweeted in part, quote, "I will be asking for a major investigation into voter fraud depending on the results. We will strengthen up voting procedures." Some members of both political parties have called on Trump to stop making those claims. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi says leaders in Congress have sent letters to state attorneys general across the country asking for the names of anyone suspected of voter fraud. She says she's shocked Trump is making the claims even though he won the election and he is in the White House.
I frankly feel very sad about the president making this claim. I felt sorry for him. I even prayed for him. But then I prayed for the United States of America.
Well, it's not clear exactly what steps the president will take to get the investigation started. First at 4, we're on top of stories making headlines all across America this afternoon. Toyota is adding 400 jobs and investing $600 million to help modernize one of its plants in Indiana. The move is seen as an attempt to please President Trump, who recently criticized Toyota for its plan to build a plant in Mexico. Toyota's investment in Indiana is just the first step in its pledge to invest $10 billion in the U.S. over the next 5 years. It's been a historic day on Wall Street as the Dow Jones jumped over the 20,000 mark for the first time ever. The market just closing a few minutes ago, and you can see the final numbers right there. The Dow now over 20,000. Still ahead, it looks like our vacation from winter weather is coming to an end. So are there any snow showers in Ben Bailey's 7-day forecast? We'll take a close look. Also ahead, scooter hazard. Thousands of parents need to do a safety check. What you need to know in our Help Me Hank Consumer Alert. Dr. McGeorge.
Well, Karen, Michigan is getting failing grades when it comes to fighting the nation's most preventable cause of early death. It's a battle that probably affects someone in your family. Good Health is next.
Thanks, Doc. And here's a look at the Defender's investigation that I'm working on for Local 4 News at 5.
The Defender's on the money trail. After this local woman is charged with embezzlement from the Autism Society.
Were you even aware of these charges?
Who is she? The Defenders take you inside the investigation tonight at 5.
In Good Health, a new report today on the nation's leading preventable cause of early deaths. Dr. Frank McGeorge is here, and that cause is tobacco use.
Yeah, that's right. You know, this report grades each state on their efforts to control tobacco, and Michigan's grades, well, they're not good. Michigan earned a B for smoking bans, a D for access to help quitting, and 3 Fs for prevention funding, tobacco taxes, and the legal age to buy tobacco products. Nationwide, there was plenty of room for improvement. In fact, no state received all A's. Kentucky, Mississippi, North Carolina, Texas, and Virginia failed every category, but there were successes. In 2016, California became the second state after Hawaii to raise the minimum age to buy tobacco products from 18 to 21.
It's time for this change. It's long due.
The move earned praise from the American Lung Association.
They really had a banner year this year as far as tobacco is concerned.
West Virginia also raised its grade for access to help quitting from an F to a B.
Making it easier for Medicaid enrollees to quit. They increased funding for their quit line.
Each state also received recommendations to improve. Michigan's includes increasing the cigarette tax by at least $1 per pack and matching the tax on all forms of tobacco, including cigars and hookah, increasing funding for prevention and quitting programs, and raising the minimum age to purchase tobacco products to 21 statewide. Now, about 20% of Michigan residents currently smoke, and experts say stronger prevention efforts and age restrictions are really key to reducing that number, since nearly 95% of smokers try their first cigarette before age 21.
So understandably, they try to change that age.
Exactly. Maybe we can shift it so fewer start, fewer continue.
All right. Thank you, Doc. This electric scooter is being recalled in today's Help Me Hank Consumer Alert. We're talking about the Pulse Safe Start Transform electric scooter. There's a problem with a part that can cause the wheel to separate from the axle, which then causes the rider to fall. Luckily, no injuries have been reported so far. The scooters were sold exclusively at Target last fall. Customers should contact the manufacturer, Pulse Performance, for a full refund. Ben is back. You're smiling. Isn't this weather so strange?
I'm smiling because I know it's about to come to an end, at least.
Right. Get the gray skies. I don't mind the colder weather. It just feels like we're in this funk, this like drippy soup gray. Ugh.
I'm going to remember you said that when it gets
Oh, yeah, you're
cold.
right. And I'll be like, why did we,
It stays bright. But yeah, first things first, we got to get those temperatures down, and then we'll worry about clearing up some of the clouds. But current numbers out there, pretty mild if you're down here in our south zone. Toledo's at 48. Then we've got a string of mid-40s here across Lenawee and Monroe County. And notice how those temperatures continue to cool fairly drastically. North of 8 Mile, it's 30s generally. Once you get up to Pontiac and continuing up towards the Thumb right now. Oxford, you're at 39. Romeo, you're at 38. Emmett reporting a 38 right now as well. There's not a ton of moisture out there, but as we showed you at the top of the show, there is snow just off to our north. We're going to stay generally dry. I think we'll probably see some very light showers and maybe some drizzle around here in the next few hours. But really, it's the back edge of this system where we'll see a little bit more moisture sort of sweep through. This is where that low is right now. This entire system is going to start moving in as we get into the later parts of tonight and early tomorrow morning. So here's how the forecast models play out. Again, not going to be a ton of moisture. When we get to tomorrow morning, temperatures will cool enough that anything that falls should be in the form of snow. I don't think most of us will see accumulation out of this. If you're north of M59 in our north zone, there may be enough to coat the ground in a couple spots, but we're talking a tenth or so, nothing significant. And then as we get through the day, flurry or snow shower probably around, but nothing significant. And those will gradually dry out as we head through the rest of Thursday. Friday through the weekend, we'll call it unsettled. There'll probably be a flake at times, but nothing significant as far as major systems rolling into our area. 34 tonight, scattered rain becoming wet snow overnight. And again, the moisture amounts are going to be light. So I think a lot of this time is going to be dry. Southwest winds are going to be breezy though, 10 to 20 miles an hour. So moving that air around fog is not going to be a concern of ours tonight. High temperatures really not going anywhere tomorrow. In fact, 37 is just about as good as we can hope for. Let's break down those low temperatures tonight, and the important takeaway from this: temperatures will get cold enough that this will support snow pretty much everywhere. The warmest numbers are going to be here in our metro zone right along the east side where we see 34. South zone, you got in on some of that warm air today, but by tonight it's going to start feeling a little bit more like January as we look at 32 and 33 primarily through the zone. West zone generally at or below freezing here, and same goes here in our north zone, maybe slightly milder. Macomb at 33, and also as you get towards the north, right at 32, stretching all the way up to Sandusky. How do things change as we get through the next 7? Well, temperatures are going to stay right at average or pretty close to it all the way through the end of the weekend. We see those numbers come up just a little bit into early next week, but look at that. A little bit of sun there, a little bit on Sunday, and maybe again on Wednesday. So here we go, Karen. We can finally see some light at the end of the tunnel.
All right, thank you, Ben. Still ahead, first at 4. Oh, baby. A first-time mom delivers a daunting bundle of joy, and we'll answer the one question most of you moms are probably asking right now. Up first, shopping for educational toys for your kids is about to get easier, and how you can try to make a Big Mac in your own home. We'll be right back. Time now for a look at our trending stories. Amazon trying to make it a little easier to find educational toys for your kids. It's starting a new service called the STEM Club. It delivers hand-picked, age-appropriate toys to your home. The toys are focused on helping kids with science, technology, engineering, and math. One toy delivered to your door each month for $19.99. Well, if you ever wanted to make a Big Mac at home, now's your chance. McDonald's is giving away 10,000 bottles of its special sauce. What? It's a promotion for the release of the Grand Mac and the Big Mac Jr. To get a bottle, you need to follow McDonald's on its social media pages or download its iMessage app called McDonald's Special Sauce Finder. Once you find the participating locations, you give them a secret code to score your secret sauce. McDonald's is targeting younger Americans after research shows only 1 in 5 millennials has ever tried a Big Mac.
So it's not just Thousand Island dressing?
No, it is. There is a special sauce. I do remember when I used to eat those. I mean, it's good.
Okay.
If you want to.
Big Mac's at Karen's house.
No, I'm not cooking. In Australia, one mother welcomed an extra large bundle of joy yesterday when she had her first child. Natasha Corrigan knew her son was going to be a little bit on the heavy side when he was born, but even she was shocked when he was delivered. The newest member of the family weighed in after a natural birth here, people, an incredible 13 pounds. Corrigan says baby Brian was born at 40 weeks and that she couldn't be happier. Natural.
Ouch.
Oh, still ahead. What's all that shouting about? Why these men are making very public promises to their wives, a tradition many women might get behind. But up first, here's a look at what I'm working on for tonight at 11. A brother murdered, a family struggling for answers.
I was out of my mind then. I couldn't believe it.
The killer never found, the case going cold.
I don't think he had any enemies.
We haven't forgotten, every holiday, it just won't go away.
I'm Karen Drew. The defenders take you inside this cold case tonight at 11. The Novi Home. Finally, first at 4. Husbands shouting out their love for their wives and making some promises in public.
Turns out Japan celebrates something called Beloved Wife Day. They actually celebrate this next week. Not surprisingly, a florist sponsored the event today where men shout out the love for their wives and make promises like getting home early from work.
Is this like from the 50s or something? That's what they're promising, to getting home.
No.
It's to encourage Japanese men to express their emotions more freely. Beloved Wife Day is January 31st.
It's better than that thing in England where they carry their wives on their back.
Oh, that's true.
through
I
the
wouldn't like
race.
that. No.
Yeah.
I just skip the whole thing and go to dinner. That would be a good thing.
Make Big
Thanks
Macs
for
at home.
joining us for First at 4. Inside Edition is next.